Whoops. Let's see. So create. Twitch seems to look quite well. YouTube not so much. Let me see. Seems to look okay. Let's see. Maybe I should take my nursing page on the side. Just so. Let's see. Yeah, make improvements. All right, let's see.
Work today is broken.
And of course we have ads. All right.
YouTube channel faster without having to make hundreds of videos. You could be just a few uploads away from your channel completely taking off. These 3 tips won't only make your videos better, but they'll help you reach your goals a lot quicker. What is the #1 piece of advice that new YouTube creators are always given? Just be consistent. Until you post 100 videos, I don't want to hear chat. This is
Yeah, I will say that I've seen this advice quite a lot, but I'm not sure how that should work. I mean, I think that it's quite often that you see that channels just blow up out of nowhere just because that the video is just a banger video. So I'm not sure how well this divide is, but I think you will probably get into that.
See that? Just make videos. Okay, so you follow that advice. You work your butt off. You upload video after video after video. You stay consistent for weeks, maybe even years, and then nothing. What the heck is going on? There are right and wrong ways to be consistent on YouTube. You're not gonna really get anywhere by just uploading videos. You post videos and you get results by doing these 3 things consistently. And the first is consistently develop strong ideas. The foundation of any great YouTube video is a strong idea. No matter how good your production value is or how often you post, if your ideas are weak, your video will be too. It's just the truth. Listen to what Mr. Beast has to say about ideas.
The difference between a video on YouTube, and this is where I can go infinitely in depth, the difference between a video with 1 million views and 30 million views. The video with 30 million views usually didn't put in 30 times the effort. Like, they might have put in 2 or 3 times the effort and just had a way better idea. Once you kind of understand that, you realize that, like, the idea is so freaking important. Theoretically, most YouTubers watching this, you could pull triple the views with half the work if you just had better ideas. Like, no joke, it's that extreme. And so once you realize how important an idea is, you just obsess over, well, how do I get more ideas? How to get better ideas?
The point is, it's not about the intensity of your upload schedule. It's about the intensity of your ideas that matter most, especially when the right idea has the strength to carry your channel farther than dozens of weaker ideas combined. Brainstorming should take time. Sometimes it may take several days or weeks to come up with a single solid idea, but I promise it will be time well spent. Consistently sharpen your skills.
Okay. I understand the point with intensify the idea, but I assume that should more be understood as trying to figure out like a good idea that you can post that people are actually interested in. Yeah, I mean, I don't assume that everyone like Mr. Beast, for instance, have the finances to actually do like large production channels or videos, but at the same time, it's not because that I expect mine to be around that specifically. I want more to the channel to be more about helping people and such. So let's say. Oops. So what if we let's say intensify videos is more like think probably we just call it this. Give your video ideas thought before working on them. Like make sure people want to watch it, probably. In this case, at least in my experience and in the work that I do, usually this means that you want to try to solve a problem. Struggle with. And provide a solution. I think that's probably how we should understand.
Being a YouTuber is way more than just sitting in front of a camera and talking. It's a real job. It takes real work, real skills to master and become really good at. If you want to make good videos, you have to learn how to edit, how to film, how to just be on camera. There is so much that goes behind each video from every creator. And while consistently uploading videos is important, if you're not consistently leveling up your skills, your videos don't get better. Look back on some of the first videos from your favorite creators. I guarantee you, they are probably a little bit rough. Mr. Beast thumbnails went from this to this. Steezy Kane went from posting these
so juicy.
That's true.
interesting vlogs to near movies. The same glow up is true for so many other creators. How did they get so good? They challenged themselves to get better and they improved the skills that they needed to win. Between each upload, there should be time dedicated just to building up yourself, learning new skills, acquiring what you need so that that next video can be even better than your last. And YouTube happens to be the best place to learn how to be a stronger creator. My favorite teachers are on this platform. Colin and Samir, Hayden Hillier-Smith, and Epic Light Media are just to name a few. I'd love to hear what creators you listen to learn how to improve your skills in the comments below, right below the like button. And here's the biggest thing you can do to see better results. Consistently respond to data. There's a
Alright. So to consistently improve. Yeah, I mean, I think that one is quite obvious. I mean, that's always something that I already thought about and is something that I already try to do, like consistently improve. And to be fair, I think that this is probably true for most fields and not just like when you try to create YouTube videos. Is also how, I mean, for instance, when I got into data work and analytics engineering in the first place, then the way that I got started was like just start messing around with dashboards that later turned into SQL, and then later on it turns into messing around with infrastructure and such, for instance. And that slowly makes you improve, that makes you more valuable, and I would say that the same thing is true for YouTube videos. So consistently improve. I don't think you need much bullet points there. It can maybe like figure out better editing. I think that's probably one of the main issues that at least my view, the last YouTube video that I uploaded, the editing is really poor. I ended up drawing something where I think that can be fine. I just need to improve my drawing. I actually know how to draw just a little bit. It just takes time, and I also have my full-time job that I have to take care of. So that also makes it a bit more difficult to say in that way. So, but yeah, let's see. So figure out better editing, better thumbnails. To be fair, I don't think that my thumbnail was that bad. If let's see. I mean that was not too bad. I mean, I would say having my little avatar, then what to do now? Question mark. I think maybe a better hook could potentially be a bit better here. Yeah, maybe. I suppose there's always something. I suppose presentation is also something that I could really work on there. Yeah, especially if I want to show some stuff, teach people how to do stuff, how to get through life and such. Oh, excuse me. But yeah, let's see.
A lot of information in your YouTube analytics, and it can be confusing to understand what it all means. But there are 4 helpful questions you should be asking yourself every time you are in your YouTube dashboard. What's right? Is there anything in my videos that I should keep doing or optimize? Maybe it's a topic that gets...
Good point. Really good point. Figure out what do you do well and what do you do poorly. I would say, because I mean, it's also that usually what people is also that what I experienced when at least at my workplace, and also when I went to university, you often neglect to figure out what do you do well. The first thing when you try to let's say that you try to build a prototype of some kind of a software, for instance, then, or you want to improve an UI, then you take a look at the UI, then you see that there are a bunch of things that you can probably improve, but at the same time you miss what do you do well. And then by improving the stuff that is poorly made, then you at the same time also remove the stuff that you do well. So I think that that's one thing that's really important to keep in mind. Figure out what you do well, and then focus on what do you do poorly. Then, so yeah, really good point.
It's a lot of engagement or a style of editing that my audience loves. What's wrong? Is there anything in my videos that I should change or get rid of? Maybe it's a thumbnail and title that's not getting a good click-through rate, or that intro that's causing me to lose half my viewers. What's missing? Is there anything that I could do to improve this video or add to my future videos? Did viewers leave comments asking for something that I didn't include? Or maybe I can add chapters using TubeBuddy's chapter editor to automatically place timestamps in my videos and preview how my audience will see them. It will also boost my SEO and help my videos get stamps. Or maybe I can add chapters using TubeBuddy's chapter editor to automatically place timestamps in my videos and preview how my audience will see them. It will also boost my SEO and help my videos get found in search. That was a plug. Link in description. And finally, what's confusing? Is there anything in my videos that should be clearer? Am I using industry jargon that my viewers don't understand? Is this video out of place with my channel's overall theme or goals? This is one of the most commonly neglected areas for creators because, well, Going into your YouTube analytics can be intimidating. By taking the time to ask yourself these questions, you'll be able to quickly look at your analytics, and one, you'll know where to start, but two, you'll be able to make adjustments as necessary based on your answers. If you want to see real results, you need to put in the work and be strategic about it. Love y'all.
I would have liked him to be a bit more clear about what he meant to respond to data. Like I mean, you can do a bunch of different stuff with it. It's like if I have mine here. I assume I have analytics tab somewhere here. Videos, manage videos, analytics. Yeah. So let's see. I mean, as you can see, I don't have too much at the moment. I have a couple of live streams. Then I have one how to write readable SQL. That was okay, but it's like nice. See your watch time. Okay, then you have a table where you can see all the different metrics. Oh, lost one subscriber, no. Impressions, click-through rates. Yeah. That is a pretty high one. But I think that what I would like them to do is try to go a bit more over on how do you actually use the data in YouTube. I mean, I've worked with data for 4 years, so I have a general idea about how do you do data analytics and what should you look out for, how do you do experimentations and such. But as someone who is new to the field, it would have been nice to get an overview of what are the different KPIs. Like, I mean, when you have your YouTube videos, you have different KPIs, key performance indicators. Like what shows that if your video performs well or not. Like, I suppose views. How many views does it get? What is the say click-through rate? What's that I think I called it? I assume that's how many people sees your video and then actually clicks on it, and then I assume what's it called? Viewer retention, I suppose you would call it. Like, how long does people actually stay on your video once you click on it? I suppose that these three would probably be the three main KPIs that you would try to respond to, and that's what you try to optimize on. So views, how many actually ended up clicking on the video, click-through rate, how many saw your video and actually clicked through it. I suppose this one would be impressions divided by views, I suppose. That would be your click-through rate, like how many saw it and then actually ended up clicking on it. And then viewer retention, like how long does people actually look at one. Once you actually hook people into click on the video, like how do you actually keep them on the video once they are there? So yeah. So I suppose those three will be the main ones, and then it would have been nice that if you went a bit more over on how do you actually interact with these different KPIs. But yeah. Otherwise, I think that he gave some nice points that you can do. Give your video ideas some thought before working on them. Like, make sure that it's actually relevant to some people. Like, you don't just jump between different ideas and just do something. I think that of course it should also be something that you want to work on, like something you enjoy, and then consistently improve. I think that one is a no-brainer. Respond to data is probably also somewhat of a no-brainer, but it can be a bit more difficult. Then the question is just like, how do you optimize these? Maybe that will be some of the next ones.
Fiverr has got talented freelancers for anything we need. Yeah!
The team continues.
I was getting
Just 2 seconds. All right.
thousands of views per day within 2 weeks of starting this channel. I didn't post in forums, get shoutouts, or use some secret technique. All I did was upload 2 videos and nothing else. Today, you'll learn how to get those results for your own channel. Chapter 1, Breaking the Algorithm. Getting YouTube's algorithm to blow up your channel is actually really simple. Here's how it works, explained by the largest creator on the platform.
If people are clicking and watching, then it gets promoted more. And that's literally all the algorithm does, is reflect what the people want.
It really is that simple. Success on YouTube comes when you make videos that people click on and watch. The hard part is doing it better than everyone else. But based on my experience with 2 successful channels and my research into the methods of the best creators on the platform,
I feel like this is the second video in a row that reference Mr. Beast when they talk about it. I mean, he is the largest creator, so I suppose that makes sense. Well, let's say that is the 4th point. Do what Mr. Beast says you should do.
I have created a step-by-step process to take your videos to the moon. In fact, your next video will mark that changing point in your channel if you do everything I tell you to. Chapter 2, a good idea. Messing up in the idea stage undermines the entire video, which makes this step the most important. To start, create a list of whatever you can think of that sounds interesting to people in your niche. Focus on what your niche wants, what they care about, what they're scared of, or even what they're insecure about. The real question here is, what video titles can you craft that address the...
So some demographic analysis. I can see that could be a good idea. I mean, I like making a persona. I'm just gonna delete this. So like, understand your audience. Their demographic. What I'll say, wants, fears, insecurities is probably a bit extreme and a bit cringy, I think. But I mean, people do say that usually negative stuff tends to be what people clicks on. So I suppose that if people are afraid of missing out on something, or if something big is happening that they can't afford to miss the video, then I suppose that's what they are referring to. But we'll probably start with just understand understand your demographic. What, let's say, what do they want? Where are they in their lives? What problem do they need fixing? I think that's probably quite important, and it's like, just for those who don't understand, what it is he is talking about. He doesn't say it specifically in the video, but what he is talking about is personas. Not the anime persona, like in UX design, for instance. Then you have these kind of stuff, where you, for instance, has Drew, he is an influencer, and then you have his age, what is his income level, what does he do for work, how many friends does he have, how much does he like to learn, what is motivations, what does he need, what is his pain points, what is the problem that he wants to get solved, that kind of stuff. So so that's what I'm referring to when I say a persona. These are usually what it is, and for those who don't understand 100% what is a persona and what should you use it for, usually it's a way to map who is your core demographic for whatever product it is that you are building. So let's say you're building software for meditation, for instance. Then your demographic might be women, primarily women in their 30s. So then you will put a picture of a woman. You will put them to 30 years old. You will say they live in a city center, maybe. You will say their main frustrations and pain points is that they can't relax throughout the day. So that would be your persona, because that persona reflects your primary demographic that you're trying to get to use your stuff. So yeah, personas,
or even what they're insecure about. The real question here is, what video titles can you craft that address...
Oh. What do they want? What kind of video idea is good for this demographic?
Address the needs of your audience. Figure out what content will live up to the title later. And that's not even all there is to it. See if you can catch the mistake with this video here.
The mistake in that video. Dead man's chest. How to never die to a dead man's chest again. I'm not sure. I suppose that the my best guess would be that the thumbnail doesn't 100% reflect the title. I mean, I suppose that whoever's watching that is interested in to never die to a dead man's chest, whatever that is. I'm not sure what game that comes from. But my best guess would be that the thumbnail doesn't reflect in the title.
It's about just one single feature that wasn't super interesting. Most people in my niche didn't have a reason to watch this. However, this video was relevant to far more Terraria players because the idea was way more broad. So your ideas can't be super specific. They must be attractive to most people in your niche. So your ideas can't be super specific. They must be attractive to most people in your niche.
Can't be too specific. I'm not 100% sure about this one, to be honest. Because it's like I mean, it's also that if it gets really, really broad, it just doesn't stand out either. I think it's going to be like, yeah, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think that. Yeah, I think that if you want to create a video that solves a very specific problem for people that you believe faces this issue, then I think that it's fine, but no problem either.
Finding ideas can be challenging at first, so a little trick that I like to use is to just leave all that thinking to the pros. I'll study trends and popular videos for my niche, and then try to take ideas a step further or put some sort of twist on it. Wait, stop. You cannot make the video just yet. You'll see why in just...
Ah, yeah, I remember that. I did see a video with Ludwig. I saw a video where he went over how to stream, and then he had this point that you should stream for YouTube, like in the sense that you do a stream but you have it in a format where you can translate that directly to YouTube, and then what you do is what he calls the yoink and twist, where you steal someone's idea but you then twist it to make your own. You don't blatantly steal, but you do take the idea and then change a bit. That's the same thing that he did here, the most unusual weapon. Then he made a new video called the most unusual subclass, for instance. So see what works for YouTubers in your niche and do a yoink and twist. So yeah.
Just a second. Chapter 3, Thumbnails and Titles. You still need to make the title and thumbnail so you can actually calculate the quality of that idea. You see, for it to be a good idea, there must be at least one very compelling reason to click on the video. If you can't figure out a way to do that, then maybe you should watch this video here. Or maybe
2 seconds. Let's continue.
Maybe your idea just sucks. If that's the case, do not use that idea. Here's a video where it's very obvious what the reasons to watch are. For starters, you want to see what liquid sand looks like when it's moving around in a recording. But you'd also like to know how it works and what it looks like to swim in it. And for this video, the reason to watch is that Terraria players love to know about new features, and therefore this video will be interesting because it covers a new feature to the game. So the reason to watch is to learn about the Oasis in Terraria. That is some bullshit. The reason to watch can't require a bunch of rationalization, otherwise it's a really weak reason. Nobody cares about your video until you give a solid reason to watch it, like this. Find for yourself the difference in how enticing these two videos are. When it comes to designing the thumbnail, it's essential to make a thumbnail that lets anyone in your niche immediately understand what's going on. You can't rely too much on the title here because most often viewers look at the thumbnail before they look at the title. So don't use a poorly shot photo or an uncropped screenshot. Otherwise, your thumbnail is just too bland and confusing next to all the others. Most YouTubers don't even use a single frame from their video to make the thumbnail. Instead, they take new photos, often piecing multiple together to create an image that most effectively represents the idea of that video. Now for the title, it's the best opportunity for giving a reason to watch. My reason typically comes from titling the video as a question, but it's also
Alright. So the key takeaway there would be so title plus thumbnail should give an immediate reason for people to watch it. So you have to logically deduct what the reason is, then it's not good enough. Okay. Right. So I suppose that all of that basically comes down to that you should be straight about the point of the video. So when people they watch it, it's not because that they have to think too much about why they are about to clicking on it. It's more like they just see and then they do, like kind of thing. Just noticed something. I just noticed my stream on YouTube is under the category gaming. That is, the stream can be accessed again from mentioning sitting while not in the stream is currently live. Okay. Let's see, how do I do this? I'm gonna have to figure that out later. Then, for at least now, the YouTube stream is a gaming stream. Yeah. Alright. Okay. So back to the video. Title of thumbnail should give an immediate reason for people to watch yours. If a logical deduct what the reason is, then it's not good enough. And be straight about the point of the video. So essentially people shouldn't be in doubt about what is the reason.
Also a great strategy to instead give extra context about your video. Just make sure that the reason to watch is still clear.
With Artlist, you can make a real impact on your videos. Explore a catalog that's expertly curated with the best.
Chapter 4. Plan.
Titles can be more descriptive. To add more context, but the reason for watching should still be clear. Alright.
Plan the script. Remember earlier how Mr. Beast described the algorithm? Well, think of your entire scripting process as your plan for this part. Making people watch your video for as long as possible. Even something like a vlog where you've recorded everything first requires you to consider what footage you have and then create a storyboard. Because without a strong strategy to maximize viewer retention, you will lose viewers incredibly quickly. A great way to think about all this is a big water tank with a leak in the bottom. At the start of your video, you're at a full tank, but it drains quickly, and once it's out, viewers start looking for something better to watch. The only way to keep viewers is to do a little refill by giving value to your audience. Say or do something interesting, something important or helpful. Even just make them smile, something like that. Also, be aware that the tank drains at different speeds depending on your audience. Some niches and age groups have an attention span of around 20 seconds, while others can last maybe 2 or 3 minutes. Knowing that, you should spread out your key points of information evenly throughout the video to consistently refill the tank. Start by separating the video into different sections, each with a couple bullet points to list the takeaways. Next, plan out some pockets of dopamine, little edits, montages, or jokes to give the viewer a quick break. Without these, your video flies by way too quickly, which overwhelms the viewer and prevents them from absorbing anything. Chapter 5. Script.
Think have a storyboard for your video. Just like so you have a 2 seconds. Need to let's see. I need to figure out a way to raise my mic a bit so it's around head level, or maybe I can just turn up the decibels a little bit. But yeah, have a storyboard. So it's like keep giving the audience small, or what, how to say it, spread key points over the video over longer periods of time. So not just, I mean, I think that's also a pretty good idea. Also, it's also that if you just dump a bunch of information on people while they're watching, then it can also lead to a bit of information overload, I think. And if it does that, then it's kind of like like people, they just get tired, their brain is full and they can't take much more information. So I think it's easier to just give it in small bites. Yeah. I also like the things that about the maybe I would say when he said dopamine hits, I'm not sure I like that. I'm personally not a big fan of very big and fancy editing where the scene changes like every 2 seconds. I think that's a bit annoying, and I think that everyone has enough dopamine hits throughout the day, so I don't think they need more. But I do like the idea of making people smile and make people feel something. I think that's pretty pretty nice. Bring in some emotions. Try to make the audience feel something. I think that's a pretty good point. I think that way it is also easier for people to bond with you in that way, I think.
Writing. Do you remember a minute ago when I talked about that water tank? Well, here is where it really comes into play. Once you start elaborating on the takeaways you just listed, explain them as simply as you can. A 10-minute video that could have been 3 minutes will be so boring that the average view duration will likely be just a minute. We'll flip this around. A 3-minute video, which is so compact that it feels like 10 minutes, will be so entertaining that the average view duration is likely closer to 2.5 minutes. But that being said, trimming down your video too far actually hurts a minute. We'll flip minutes. Well, here is where it really comes into play. Once you start elaborating on the takeaways you just listed, explain them as simply as you can. A 10-minute video that could have been 3 minutes will be so boring that the average view duration will likely be just a minute. We'll flip this around. A 3-minute video, which is so compact that it feels like 10 minutes, will be so entertaining that the average view duration is likely closer to 2.5 minutes. But that being said, trimming down your video too far actually hurts engagement. It makes it feel really chaotic and kind of soulless. So while your wording should get to the point quickly, it should still resemble the spirit of a natural conversation. So make it feel like you're actually talking to the viewer. They should be an engaged listener, thinking about what you've said and asking questions. If you constantly tell things the exact same way, it gets monotonous. But if you switch it up, sometimes use an analogy or an example, tell a story or ask a question, it makes the video much more engaging. But as you tell a story or ask a question,
analogies, examples, stories, and a question. I like those. Examples, stories, and questions.
It makes the video much more engaging. But as you may have noticed, there's now an even bigger problem. You see, with you shortening your videos so much, you struggle to reach that 8-minute mark where the sweet, sweet cash comes rolling in.
One? No, let's get it there.
So here's where the really high-level stuff comes in. I like to call it valuable bullshit. I first discovered this when watching a Ryan Trahan video about a soundproof room. I was surprised at first that the video lasted exactly 8 minutes, but while watching I couldn't help but admire what Ryan was doing. And by the end of the video, I had learned one of the most crucial YouTube strategies. You see, the duration of that video was not a coincidence. His video could have lasted 5 minutes, but he extended it using valuable bullshit. Check this out.
The creator of The World's Quietest Room is a man named Steve Orfield of Orfield Laboratories. I'm scared of this man for a number of reasons. Not only does he send 2-word response emails, but also Orfield Laboratories literally sounds like the place a Demogorgon would be hiding in the next season of Stranger Things.
It's quick and subtle, but it's funny, and that gives value to the viewer. Also, it builds a more personal connection to who's watching, which makes them stick around with you for longer. All of the ways that Ryan fluffed up his video added something to it rather than stretched out what was already there. Before we talk about just forgetting all of this and letting AI write everything, we need to talk about the most important part of the script, the intro. If you do not take those first...
I did not know that you get extra money if the video lasts 8 minutes.
First few seconds to meet the expectations people had going in, they will stop watching. So take a good look at your title and thumbnail. What made someone click that? What information, what pacing, and what mood are they expecting? Your entire video, but especially the intro, needs to align with those 3 principles. As for specifically what you say, there is no single answer. You just confirm to them that your video will be what they expected and then immediately start delivering. But please, I am begging you, do not ask for likes, for subscribers, or for money. That is not what they came here for. Now about AI, it is a great tool.
So, intro should confirm that the audience gets what they clicked for. The question is just how do you specifically do that? That's the next
Tool
question.
to help with your script writing. I use it to find better vocabulary, to shorten sentences, and to improve my flow. But I would never use it to write a script. That's because AI is just stupid. It's trained using books and websites and therefore writes kind of the same way. But YouTube videos aren't written the same as books. Alright, sure, using AI is lazy and it messes up the video, but what I'm about to say is even worse. And guess what? You probably do it too. I sure did. Back in my Terraria channel, I would draw out the second half of my script and just kind of half-ass it. While it's true that people are more likely to keep watching the second half if they made it through the first half, they're only more likely to keep watching. But I counted on people staying once they got around to that halfway mark. The writing, editing, and everything else would get way worse. Then I put in an outro that gave credits and stuff like that. It took me a while to learn that there is no such thing as an outro on YouTube. Talk about why I hadn't blown up yet. It's because I was thinking of my channel one video at a time, and therefore viewers looked at my channel the same way, one video at a time. But what if they looked at my channel 5 videos at a time, 10 videos at a time? You know, there is no better way to tell YouTube to blow up your channel than to have people binge your videos. So plan for that. Don't let viewers get bored of you. Keep the second half just as good, and then they're far more likely to watch another of your videos next. Okay, with all of that being said, the most important thing for you to do is to avoid not writing anything because you're just trying to get it all perfect. Writing's a process. It's never going to be perfect the first time. Chapter 6, Recording. So about recording, I actually recorded my first 2 videos on my iPhone and a blue snowball, and the videos actually did really good. What's actually important is to just get as many clips as possible. You can't have one continuous shot of you talking. You need a variety of things for the viewer to look at. For my Terraria channel, I would spend on average 10 hours recording footage just so I could switch the clips every 5 seconds. And yes, it is worth it. The impact on your attention is massive. Chapter 7, Editing. The core of editing is Chapter 6, Recording.
That again. I didn't quite
so about recording, I actually recorded my first 2 videos on my iPhone and a blue snowball, and the videos actually did really good. What's actually important is to just get as many clips as possible. You can't have one continuous shot of you talking. You need a variety of things for the viewer to look at. For my Terraria channel, I would spend on average 10 hours recording footage just so I could switch the clips every 5 seconds. And yes, it is worth it. The impact on your attention is massive. Chapter 7, Editing.
I see. That's good to know, but at least for now I'm not I'm a faceless channel, so I don't think that's too important for me, but it can be relevant in the future if I at some point decide to.
The core of editing is pacing. You see, the style can be whatever you want, but pacing always has to be as fast as possible. To really give you a sense of what it should be, let's look at the bare minimum.
Need a UGC video for your business? Find me and many other skilled creators on Fiverr. Or you
A 90-minute nature documentary. This is a very slow-paced genre, yet at a random point in the film, the video cut to 3 different clips in 15 seconds, an average of 5 seconds per clip. While the style was extremely minimalist, just some background footage, music, and a voiceover, the editing maintained a brisk pace. So if this is just about the slowest editing you can possibly get away with, what does that have to say about your videos, which linger on the same clips for 10-20 seconds? And that's not even to mention the pauses that you make while you're speaking. No one wants to see you staring around trying to figure out what you have to say next. Or any part of your video that's just a couple seconds long where nothing's happening, cut that out too. Besides that, the style of editing should match up with the genre of your video and the audience you have. The wrong editing style can really ruin your video. So figure out how the best creators in your niche edit and then learn how to make something similar. Okay, here's the most underrated editing tip ever. Create a variety of how much energy your video gives off. The stark contrast of a hyper-edited section abruptly turning into a mellow A-roll segment forces the viewer to jump back into focus. These changes in pacing keeps the viewer from zoning out. Wait, do you hear that? That kind of like rumbling sound? That's called a riser. Oh, that was a hit. These are just 2 examples of sounds that make the video way more immersive. Just as important are transition sounds, ambient sounds, and some Foley sound. Sound design creates a really nice audio experience, which will help keep the viewers watching for a little longer. So I definitely recommend it. I used to use freesound.org, but now I use Envato Elements. And sound effects aren't the only way you can spice up the audio. Rather than throwing in a couple background songs that kind of work, create a more immersive experience by choosing a larger variety of music. A lot of the pacing and mood of a video comes from the music, so find songs that work really well for what you're aiming for. So yeah, that is the basic process, but for someone like you, I think you want something better, so click here for...
I would say the video was pretty good. I really liked it. I think he had a bunch of good points that I agree with and that I think is worth trying out. Let's see. The 9th point was use music and editing to change the immersion of the video. Switch the energy up a bit. stats of the stream so far. Stats. Looks good so far. Nice. Let's see what does Learn by Leo have. Oh, he's quite a new channel though. It doesn't seem like he posts anymore though, which is a shame. I think we probably have enough though of different tips and tricks that I can use to improve. I don't think I need, I mean, I think that, I mean, of course you can always learn more. I mean, it's never too late to learn more, but I also feel like that if I start adding much more than this, then I will also just get an information overload. So let's try to see what do we have so far. Give you a video ideas thought, consistently improve, remember response to data, understand your audience, see what works for YouTubers in your niche, and do a young and twist. Title of thumbnail should give me responsibility to watch it. Have a storyboard for video, in which you confirm the audience get what they click for. Use music ending change the immersion of the video. Nice. So I think that's enough tips and tricks. I suppose the next step would be to try to take a look and see if take a look at some other larger channels and see what do they do well. So it's like if I'm in the, I'm not 100% sure what I want my entire channel to be about, but I think that it's probably going to be in some kind of self improvement, finance, gaming niche. Let's try to take a look. What about one finance YouTuber I really like? What is his most popular one? Why I don't own a house? He's a multimillionaire. Improve your social skills in under 30 minutes. Oh, 12 years ago. Wow. Oh, he is going back. He's going way back. I made millions of people rich. Here's my playbook. You can change your finance in 6 months. Here's how. Do this when you get paid. Paycheck routine. These are 2 worst banks. America ripping off money experts, finance TikToks. Okay, let's try see.
Hele familiens varehus med faste lave priser på for eksempel pop-up-telt til 2 personer for kun 349 kroner. Hængekøje.
Sorry about that. I feel like YouTube ads is just getting longer and longer and longer.
Rich, and I want to make you rich too. I'm gonna walk you through my. I've made millions of people rich.
Well, what did? Okay, so let's see. What works here? If we bring out a little spreadsheet, I would like to see a little intro. Intro should confirm the audience get what they click for. Oh, I forgot to look at the thumbnail. What was the thumbnail? I made millions of people rich. Here's my playbook. Get rich playbook. So he has like a whiteboard in his hand with his something that symbolizes some kind of system that will get people rich. Okay, I see. Yeah.
People rich, and I've made millions of people rich, and I want to make you rich too. I'm gonna walk you through my step-by-step playbook on exactly.
Yeah, so that's what he does here. Here's my playbook. He starts by confirming that
I've made millions of people rich. I've made millions of people rich.
I made millions of people rich.
And I want to make you rich too.
Okay, so he's confirming that he made millions of people rich, and he wants to make us rich as well.
I'm going to walk you through my step-by-step playbook on exactly how to set up your finances. By the end of this video, you'll...
Okay, so he confirms he knows what he's talking about. He says that he will walk you through his step-by-step.
You'll know exactly how much you can spend guilt-free on a house, a car, even eating out. And you'll be earning money every single day from investing automatically.
Okay, and okay, nice. So let's see, just confirm what the, let's see, let's take some examples here. I've made millions of people rich. Here's my playbook is the title. And the first 5.
It all starts with step number 1. Day. Car. You'll know exactly how much you can see every single number 1 day from in.
And this intro is roughly 20 seconds. So 20 seconds, what he does is, what to say, intro, 20 seconds, point, and then what he does is 1. Establish he knows what he is talking about, and then he establish a benefit to us by telling us that he will teach us how to get rich as well. Then 3, he said what he would do. he would do. And 4, give us the outcome we can expect if we watch the full video. Having a link. Oh, whoops.
Investing automatically. It all starts with step number 1, a better way to spend. Wouldn't it be great to save hundreds per month and still buy what?
Yeah. I agree with him. Even though his titles is a bit clickbaity, that he will teach you how to get rich. The things that he primarily preach is that you should invest more, and you can build some small side hustles. He doesn't focus on like, you're gonna earn 10k a month, you're gonna be a millionaire if you just buy my course, like that kind of stuff. So I do really like him for that. Okay, let's see what else is there about Graham Stephan. Is quite. Oh wow, he's 5 million.
What's up, you guys?
What is his most popular? How about a Tesla? Meet the $250 million man. How to buy a first rental property step by step. How much money Mr. Beast makes. What happens to Santa Monica? Kevin O'Leary reacts. Unboxing. Okay, so he's more than just financial advice. I thought Graham Stephan was primarily just financial advice, but it seems like that he also like meeting people, showcasing cars. I would say I have no experience with rental properties and such, so I don't think that's something I could copy. Or yoink and twist. How much money you need to save by your age? How much I make with one? Response to YouTubers 5 years ago. Wow. How about this one?
Se hvordan vi sammen kan.
I will say YouTuber is really going crazy with the ads.
Guys, it's Graham here. So the other day I was watching a video by Andre Geek about how much money you should have saved up by every age, and that got me thinking. How much money do experts actually recommend that you have saved up by every age, and is that realistic? After all, how much money we need is going to be relative to how much money we make, our lifestyle, and where we live. Like someone who has expensive taste and a thirst for Starbucks coffee in California is going to need a lot more money saved away in order to live comfortably, compared to someone else in Montana who does just fine making their coffee at home. Now I know this might be a bit of an odd topic to talk about, especially because I never recommend comparing yourself to someone else. But I think this is a really important measurement to keep track of, because without knowing if you're saving enough, you won't be able to properly adjust your spending, or know when to cut back, or know when you've had enough money invested so that you'll never have to work another day in your entire life if you don't want to. No, seriously, I promise if you watch until the end of the video, you're gonna know exactly how much money you're gonna need to save away in order to live indefinitely off your investments without ever needing to lift a finger or answer to a boss who asks you about the TPS report.
Okay, so his intro is like 1 minute long. It's a bit longer than what it was at the Ramit channel. So, what he started off was that he started by saying,
age, and is that realistic? After all, what's up, you guys? It's Graham here. So the other day I was watching a video by Andre Geek about how much money you should have saved up by every age, and that got me thinking. How much money do experts actually recommend that you have saved up by every age, and is that realistic?
Okay, so he saw a video about someone covering how much money he believed someone should save by every age, and then he twisted to how much does experts recommend that you save by every age.
After all, how much money we need is going to be relative to how much money we make, our lifestyle, and where we live.
And he says that he also recognizes that this number might vary quite a lot depending on where you live and what your different habits are. So it's like, so the step-by-step process was, saw another YouTuber, younger twist idea to what the experts say, recognize that it's different from people to people, and then he ended by saying by the end of the video, you will know specifically how much you need to save without having to work for someone, I suppose, at the end of retirement.
Everything they own of value, and then subtracting what they owe in debt, and then what's left over is what's called the net worth. So with that, just take a guess at what you think the average 20-year-old is worth. Well, the answer to that is negative $27,000. Yes, you heard me correctly.
Yeah, that's probably because they have their intuitions and they're still in school.
In order to live indefinitely off your investments without ever needing to lift a finger or answer to.
So what else do we know? What about Ali Abdel? Let's see. Passive income ideas. How I made 27k per week. How I type really fast. How to invest for beginners. Are there some of his? Okay. Ali Abdel is really old user channel, Jesus. Let's read this one.
Der er virkelig meget at se til på studiet.
And the ads keep coming in. And it seems like there are two of them.
Tired, you're not alone. If you're feeling like you're always tired, you're not alone. Surveys have shown that on average, adults in the US feel tired for 3 days of the week, and 30 to 48% of adults have trouble sleeping. But for a lot of us, the problem isn't how much sleep we're getting, it's actually the anxiety around our sleep caused by believing various myths, which is what we're going to debunk in this video. Now, I've been looking into the science behind sleep for quite a while, but even as someone with a medical background, things can get super confusing. And generally when I talk to people in this area, it's hard to figure out what's actually good advice to follow and what is bad advice to ignore. Like for example, Matthew Walker's book, Why We Sleep, is very good, but there was this whole craze around, oh my God, I need to get my 8 hours. Otherwise, if I don't get my 8 hours, I'm going to develop Alzheimer's disease and all this cardiovascular problems. And all of this feeds into this thing called sleep anxiety, which is the feeling of being scared or worried or concerned about your sleep, which paradoxically actually further contributes to you being unable to sleep, and this creates this kind of vicious cycle, which is not very good. Anyway, recently I interviewed Professor Russell Foster on my podcast Deep Dive. He is a sleep expert who runs his own lab at the University of Oxford. Now, if you want, you can check out the long... If you're feeling like you're always tired, you're not alone. Surveys have shown that on average, adults in the US feel tired for 3 days of the week, and 30 to 48% of adults have trouble sleeping. But for a lot of us, the problem isn't how much sleep we're getting, it's actually the anxiety.
So, what he does there is, it seems like he follows a bit. He starts by, the intro was around a minute. Then the first thing he does is establishing the problem that you're facing. That you're always tired. And
around our sleep caused by believing various myths, which is what we're going to debunk. It's actually the anxiety around our sleep caused by believing various myths, which is what... If you're feeling like you're always tired, you're not alone. Surveys have shown that on average, adults in the US feel tired for 3 days of the week, and 30 to 48% of adults have trouble sleeping. But for a lot of us, the problem isn't how much sleep we're getting, it's actually the anxiety.
And then he says this, then he says that it's not because you don't sleep, oh my God, I can't spell today, sleep enough. Which I assume most audiences think it is. And then he goes on to say it's because of this new thing.
Around our sleep caused by believing various myths, which is what we're going to debunk in this video. Now, I've been looking into the science behind sleep for quite a while, but even as someone with a medical background, things can get super confusing. And generally when I talk to people in this area, it's hard to figure out what's actually good advice to follow and what is bad advice to ignore. Like for example, Matthew Walker's book, Why We Sleep, is very good, but there was this whole craze around, oh my God, I need to get my 8 hours. Otherwise, if I don't get my 8 hours, I'm going to develop Alzheimer's disease and all this cardiovascular problems. And all of this feeds into this thing called sleep anxiety, which is the feeling of being scared or worried or concerned about your sleep, which paradoxically actually further contributes to you being unable to sleep, and this creates this kind of vicious cycle, which is not very good. Anyway, recently I interviewed Professor Russell Foster on my podcast Deep Dive. He is a sleep expert who runs his own lab at the University of Oxford. Now, if you want...
Okay, so... It's because of this new thing, and then it says... And then he says, I talked to an expert to cover the stuff that actually helps you. Alright. So far I see the trend that establish what he knows about, establish a benefit to us. then establish that he talked to someone that knows what they talk about, and then says because of this new thing that we will cover, so it will be a benefit. And then again confirms the title, Why You're Always Tired. 7 myths ruining your sleep. I mean, he didn't specifically say 7 myths, but he did establish that he's going to cover the stuff that a sleep expert told him is the solution to it. So we have like an expert witness that will cover the stuff that is in the intro. Alright, let's take one last one. If never. What is his most popular video? Out of some from the more recent years. How to eat to bulk and lose fat. The smartest way to get lean. Shredding science. Steroids are also. How to get lean and stay lean forever. It's a free shoulder exercise. Let's try this one. There's more results.
Hver gang du udsætter den for visse ingredienser.
Give me a second. Alright, let's see.
If you click this video, you've most likely set the goal of trying to lose some fat this year. This is my goal for the new year as well. I'm trying to get under 10% body fat for the first time in a few years. However, if you follow fitness content at all, you've probably also heard that most diets fail over the long term. And this is true. Just take a look at this diet. If you click this video, you've most likely set the goal of trying to lose some fat this year. This is my goal for the new year as well. I'm trying to get under 10% body fat for the first time in a few years. However, if you follow fitness content at all, you've probably also heard that most diets fail over the long term. And this is true. Just take a look at this study on the Biggest Loser contest.
Establish on the stance your goals,
which followed up on the participants from the 2009 show 6 years after the show was over. Out of the 14 people who participated in the study, only one person had kept their weight off after 6 years. 5 of the 14 subjects had regained all of their weight back, and 2 of the 14 ended up weighing more than they did before the show even started. So fully half the subjects had at least gained all their weight back. Similarly, this 2020 systematic review on the challenge of keeping it off pulled the results of 8 separate weight loss studies and found that while all the studies were able to induce weight loss during the dieting period, they also all saw average weight regain after the diet was over, with a few studies showing overshoot beyond the original starting weight. Now, I think a large part of why this trend is so common is that people often don't realize that getting lean for a temporary time frame, like a fitness event or a wedding or a photo shoot, is a different goal with a different set of strategies than getting lean and staying lean over the long term. Now, before we get into those strategies...
Okay. And then the second point is he established that people don't know how to diet. Simple as that. How to diet, and they get all their weight back again. In most cases at least. Not all of them, but in most cases. And then he said, people use the wrong strategies to get there. And then 4, he said, I will cover the strategies that will work for you. How long was the intro?
To get everyone on the same page, give me 1 minute to explain how fat loss actually works. Fat loss occurs because
his intro was 120 seconds. Oh no, not 180 seconds. I think this is a pretty good sample size to get an idea of what how you write a good intro, I think. Cool, nice. It seems like at least that's what I need for now, so I think this is the stream. Hello, hello. Hello, buddy. What up? Oh yeah, mate, you came in at a bit bad point. I am just about to cut the stream. I unfortunately have an agreement with some friends here in 20 minutes. But but yeah, but I mean, I can see you followed, so I mean, I will go live again later today where I will play some games, and I will probably go live tomorrow as well, where I will do some similar stuff, trying to figure out how do you build videos and how do you do this content creation thing. So at least feel free to join again if you want to. But unfortunately, that is what I have for today. Feel free to watch the VODs if you want to. But yeah, but thank you for coming by, and maybe I'll see you again at some other point.